Okay, welcome to my channel. Now in this video, we're going to learn how to differentiate functions that has to do with products of things. All right, good. Okay, so we have a rule here that tells us that when we have a function which consists of f of x times g of x, that is the product of two functions, that the derivative of the product of the two functions will be of this form, which I have highlighted on this part of the board. Good. So we started with differentiating constant function, and we see that the derivative of those will always give us 0. And then we enter with a power function, which gives us this form. We differentiate that. So in our previous videos, we've been looking at the first 5 rows. Good. And now in this video, we'll be looking at this 6th row, okay, which tells us about the product of these two functions. Great. Okay, let's see what we've got. Now we have a function written in terms of two other functions, where u and v are functions of x respectively, right? This is u and this is v. And then the derivative of that product, that is the derivative of this y, is going to be, well, we keep this one here, that is, we keep the u, then multiply it with, we differentiate v. Okay, and then we add it with, we keep the second function v, and then differentiate the first function, which is u. So this one is non-distributive, that is to say, we do not have the derivative of the product to be the product of the derivative. Rather, we differentiate one at a time, all right? We keep the first function, we differentiate the second one, and then add it with, we keep the second one and differentiate the first one. Anyway, let's apply this in these two examples and see how we deal with it. Good. So we have the function to be this way. So I'm going to put it down that the derivative with respect to x of this function, which is x squared times the square root of x, right, will just give us, well, from this rule, it tells us we'll keep the first one and differentiate the second. So we will just go ahead and keep the first part of the function, which is just x squared, right? So we keep x squared, and then we differentiate the second function, which is the square root of x, right? Okay, good. And then we add it with, well, the next thing is that we keep the second one, and then differentiate the first one. So the second one here is square root of x, which is that we will just have to keep, okay, without differentiating it, and then differentiate the first one, that is the derivative with respect to x of x squared, right? Good. Okay, so let's see what we've got. We have the x squared here multiplied with, now, the derivative of square root of x. Okay, so when we differentiate square root of x, square root of x, we can rewrite it as x raised to the power 1/2, all right? And then applying some power rules on that for differentiation, we're going to enter with 1/2 times the square root of x. That is what we get when we differentiate square root of x. And then we add it with, well, square root of x times the derivative of x squared. When we differentiate x squared, we're just going to have 2x, all right? From the power rule, which tells us we'll bring the power down and then subtract 1 from the power, all right? So when we bring these 2 down, we're going to have 2 times, we subtract 1 from the power, which is 2, we're going to have x raised to the power 1. That is just 2x, right? So that tells us that the derivative of x squared is just 2x. Okay, so we are done with the differentiation. Maybe let's do a little simplification on there. We're going to have x squared, right? Okay, let me put down x squared divided by the square root of x. Well, we're just going to have x squared over 2 times the square root of x plus 2x times the square root of x. Good. So that is what we get when we differentiate this first function. Let me put it down here. Let me put it up here for you. We can do some simplifications on that, but that's a nice place to stop anyway. Okay, good. All right, let's look at the second one. We have x times sine of x. All right, so differentiating this product of two functions, all right, we can call this first one u and call this second one v, all right? Maybe let me just put it down here, u, and then this is just v. Okay, so applying the product rule on there, we're going to have the derivative with respect to x of that function entirely, that is x times sine of x, right? Okay, so this will give us, well, from this rule, we have to keep the u, right? So if you keep this u, which is called x, you keep it, and then you differentiate the v. So in this case, the v is sine x. we have to know what the derivative of sine x is, right? Okay, anyway, when we differentiate sine x, we'll enter with cosine of x. So the derivative of sine x is cosine of x, and then we add it with, we keep the v this time, so the v here is sine x, right? So we keep the sine x, and then we go ahead and differentiate our u, okay, which is x. So the derivative of x with respect to x is just 1. Good. So what we enter with here is x times cosine of x plus sine x times 1. Well, when we simplify this further, we're going to have x times cosine of x, all right, plus, well, sine x times 1 is just going to give us just sine x, all right, because we're multiplying that with 1. Good. And the whole of this is the derivative of that function, that is the second function. All right, good. Okay, let's see what we have when we have a quotient of two functions, how the derivative will look like. All right, good. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.